When people talk about pirate legends, they usually mention ships, treasure maps, and battles on the high seas. But there's one place that was just as important, maybe even more important, than any ship or hidden gold. A place that every pirate in the Caribbean dreamed of reaching. A lawless port where pirates ruled, drank, schemed, and lived like kings. At least for a little while. Its name was Tortuga, and it was real. This is the true story of why pirates loved Tortuga, and why it became the most wild, dangerous, and chaotic paradise in the entire Caribbean. The island of Tortuga lies just off the northwest coast of Hispaniola, present-day Haiti. It wasn't very big, it didn't have gold mines or vast plantations, but it had something better. No rules, no real government, no army strong enough to stop what was coming. In the early 1600s, Spain claimed Tortuga, just like they claimed nearly every piece of the Caribbean, but they never truly controlled it. The island was too small, too rough, too far from major Spanish settlements, and more importantly, it kept attracting the worst kind of people. Runaways, criminals, desperate men from Europe looking for a fresh start or a final escape. By the 1630s, Tortuga had become a haven for outlaws and privateers, especially the French and English, who were constantly trying to push Spain out of the region. These weren't official armies. They were freelancers, legal pirates, hired to raid Spanish ships and settlements in exchange for a cut of the loot. But the thing about privateers is, they don't stay legal for long. As Tortuga's population grew, it attracted more and more pirates, the real kind, the ones with no government behind them. The ones who didn't care about flags, treaties, or rules. They just wanted gold. And Tortuga welcomed them all. By the 1650s, Tortuga had transformed into a full-blown pirate city. It was packed with inns, brothels, taverns, and marketplaces. Ships from all over the Atlantic stopped there, not just pirate ships, but smugglers, slavers, and merchants looking to make shady deals. French governors would occasionally try to assert control, but the pirates always outnumbered them. They made their own laws, or more often, ignored them completely. So what was life in Tortuga like? In a word, chaotic. Pirates came to Tortuga for three main reasons: to spend money, to recruit crew, and to repair their ships. They'd arrive in port, often after months at sea, with stolen gold, silver, spices, and rum. They traded for weapons, food, and entertainment. Sometimes they'd gamble it away in one night. Other times they'd stash it, buried in the hills, hidden in walls, or blown on extravagant feasts that lasted for days. The streets were narrow, loud, and filthy. Fire was a constant danger, especially with so much drinking and gunpowder around, but no one cared. Tortuga was about freedom. There were no taxes, no curfews, no uniforms telling you where to go. If you had gold, you could live like a king. If you didn't, well, you could always sign up for the next raid and try your luck. Pirate captains used Tortuga as a recruiting ground. They'd arrive in port, post word in a tavern, and within hours have a crew of men willing to risk death for a chance at plunder. Some were former soldiers, others were escaped slaves, many were just desperate. Tortuga didn't care where you came from. If you could fight, drink, and follow orders, you were in. The island also served as a kind of political gray zone. French, English, and Dutch powers all tried to use Tortuga as a weapon against the Spanish. They'd send supplies to the pirates, offer them letters of marque, documents that gave legal permission to attack enemy ships, and in return, pirates would harass Spanish trade routes. It was war by proxy. And it made Tortuga the beating heart of pirate operations in the Caribbean. But there was a darker side. Tortuga wasn't just a place for pirates to rest. It was a breeding ground for violence. Fights broke out constantly, over money, over women, over pride. Duels were common. Murders weren't even investigated unless they started a riot. There was no real jail, and if there was, no one stayed in it for long. Some accounts describe pirates so drunk that they shot each other for fun. Others tell of crews arriving on shore and spending weeks in an alcohol-fueled haze, waking up broke, sick, and ready to raid again. It wasn't a vacation. It was a cycle of madness. But still, they kept coming. Because for all its chaos, Tortuga offered something that no European city did. Freedom. Total, unfiltered freedom. There were no class systems, no lords or kings. A former slave could rise to become a feared pirate captain. A penniless runaway could end up drinking beside men who had sunk warships and looted Spanish forts. It was, in a way, the most democratic place in the Caribbean. Brutal, lawless, and dangerous, but equal. Everyone bled the same, everyone risked the same, and everyone, at least for a moment, got to live like they were untouchable. Even the famous pirate Henry Morgan, who later became governor of Jamaica, got his start in Tortuga. It was there he gathered his fleet, planned his attacks, and became one of the most feared men in the region. Tortuga made legends. It turned nobodies into names whispered across oceans. Eventually, the age of Tortuga began to fade. European powers grew tired of the instability. France finally took stronger control of the island in the late 1600s, building real forts, sending real governors, and trying to clean up the pirate mess. Some pirates resisted. Others moved on to Jamaica or the Bahamas. By the early 1700s, Tortuga's glory days were over. The taverns grew quieter, the pirate fleet stopped docking, and the wildest port in the Caribbean faded into legend. But its memory never died, because Tortuga wasn't just a port, it was a symbol, a reminder that even in the age of kings and empires, there was one place where law meant nothing and gold meant everything. It was dangerous, it was dirty, it was violent, and yet, for the pirates of the Golden Age, it was paradise. Tortuga was the closest thing they had to a home, and for a brief, glorious, bloody time, it was the most feared and most loved pirate city in the world.